My brother Ted was born in Hollywood, California on June 12, 1925, the 10th child of Shiro and Chio Fujioka. My memories of Ted are of a big brother caring and looking out for his little brother. We spent a lot of time together in the hills above Hollywood. Ted was the leader of the neighborhood club members. No one ever doubted his decisions or direction as he would lead us on. In school, Ted was a perfect student, a high achiever, a person of great character who was respected and liked by all. Ted attended LeConte Junior High School in Hollywood. He had a circle of friends, all Caucasian, who would consider Ted to be a lifelong friend. Ted went on to Hollywood High School. He was the most popular student on campus, impeccably dressed and well-mannered. Before World War II, Ted's life was filled with happiness and success. But all that changed forever on December 7, 1941. That evening, the FBI knocked at our door. They questioned our father, a community leader and journalist. They searched the entire house and took our family's heirloom, samurai swords, and other books and writings. He was taken into custody and held for several months. The evacuation of all Japanese Americans from the West Coast was carried out hastily in April of 1942. We had little time to dispose of our possessions and end all relationships. It was a complete disruption of our family life. Saying goodbye to all our friends was the hardest part. They were sympathetic and upset about why this was happening to us. They could not understand why we were being treated as the enemy, because truly we were no less American than them, except that we had the face of the enemy. We were moved to Hart Mountain Relocation Center in Wyoming in the fall of 1942. The camp was surrounded by barbed wire, and armed soldiers stood guard. The summer of 1942 was dusty, hot and windy, and the winter was one of the coldest recorded in Wyoming's history. Ted and our family made the best of the situation. Like most teenagers, we wanted to have fun. Ted even had a girlfriend, Janice, a petite, soft-spoken girl whom he was crazy about and loved dearly. As the first student body president of Hart Mountain High School, Ted's first goal was to erect a flagpole in front of the newly built high school so that the entire student body could show their allegiance to the United States. The raising of the American flag was an important event in the eyes of the whole camp. It symbolized the students' and faculty's strong feeling of loyalty and patriotism to the U.S. Ted was so proud and happy that day. In 1943, Ted graduated from Hart Mountain High School and was now faced with the challenge of what to do with his life. His choices were few, given that he was still interned. Ted very much wanted to go to college, but he was determined to meet the far greater challenge confronting him, to prove his loyalty to his country. I'm joining the Army so that my family will have security, so that there will be no stigma against my children, so that I can prove the things I believe in: democracy, equality, tolerance, and most of all, peace. In spite of the treatment by the United States government in interning Japanese American citizens, Ted was one of the first to volunteer for the 442nd. He left Hart Mountain for training at Camp Shelby in Mississippi and was assigned to the anti-tank company. Later, his unit was sent to Italy to join the ranks with the 100th Battalion that was made up of all Japanese Americans from Hawaii. Together, they formed an alliance that became known as the Go for Broke Battalion. Typical of Ted, his letters described the beautiful and pastoral setting of the countryside in spite of the war. He was so positive that it made us feel that nothing bad could happen. His unit approached the German stronghold in the Black Forest, but the 442 was able to secure the town of Bruyères as the winter set upon them. Cold and battered, After this hard-fought victory, the unit was ordered to rescue a Texas unit of around 200 men known as the Lost Battalion. Although victorious, the VOR 42 lost over 800 men. It was in this action that Ted was killed by falling shrapnel in November 6 of 1944. He is buried at the American Military Cemetery in Epinoia, France. The news of Ted's death came to us in Hart Mountain by Western Union courier. It was the dreaded news we did not want to accept. How ironic my beloved brother is killed fighting for the constitutional rights of a country that has sent his family and thousands of other Japanese Americans to internment camps. In 1994, the 50th anniversary of the liberation of Buriers, I traveled with relatives to Epinoia, where Ted is buried. The impact of seeing his grave moved us to tears. I was filled with emotion to see this beautiful cemetery, so tranquil and peaceful, just as Ted had described in his letters. Gazing upon the endless rows of white crosses, I contemplated the loss of so many young men and asked myself why. To Ted, it was to show the country that the principles of life, liberty, and equality were worth fighting and dying for. The memory of his life will be cherished forever.